6:30 on the dot.
It is 6:30 on the dot.
All right, it is 6:30 on the dot, we're gonna go and get started. I'm gonna call to order the Mulberry City Council meeting for November the 20th, 2025. I'm gonna turn it over to Councilman Doug Ingram, who's gonna lead us in our invocation and our pledge this evening.
We can bow our heads. Dear Father, thank you for this time that we have as a city council to join together with citizens and leaders and our staff to help plot a successful city. Thank everyone in the city for all that you do, and thanks for the great leadership and staff and others that we have. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and call the roll one. Councilman Tim Sullivan. Present. District 2, that is me, Michael Coker, I'm present. District 3, Councilman Kyle Shields.
Present.
District 4, Councilman Michael Rudnick. And then District 5, Councilman Doug Ingram.
Present.
All right, if the interim clerk for tonight could notate that we have 4 out of the 5 council members here, so we do have a quorum. That'll bring us to item E on the agenda, mayor's opening comments. Just wanted to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I do want to say we do not have any zoning applications this evening, so if anybody's here to discuss zoning applications or things that you might have seen on Facebook that we're planning commission or this or that, we are not considering any of those tonight. Obviously, you're welcome to stick around and stay. We'd love to have you, but I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that. Would any of the council like to make an opening comment?
I'd like to make one.
Okay.
Mayor, if I may.
Sure.
I was just gonna, maybe give a thanks to the citizens of Mulberry. There's oftentimes in the new city, there's lots of issues we have to tackle, but having citizens show up and provide a voice, whether they're for or against certain items, really helps to shape the color of the decisions we have to make. So I think that's wonderful that we had such feedback during the last, commission meeting.
All right, thank you, Councilman. That'll bring, any other council members? Should I ask? No? All right, that'll bring us to item G, the city manager's opening comments.
I just want to actually echo what Councilmember Ingram said. The involvement of the citizens here has been really great. And, we've been coining the phrase of, we're building the plane while we're flying it. And so, there are steps that we know that we're missing just to keep everything going. And everybody's input has been fantastic. So, I encourage everyone to continue to stay involved with Larry. And, if you have suggestions on how we can better improve our process, please let us know.
All right, thank you. That will bring us to item H, which is a consideration of tonight's meeting agenda. I would like to, Councilman, I would like to add under action items, action item I, which would be a discussion of the Truist account. I'll explain more why. They've asked me to sign some additional documents, and I wanted to, before I approve that, I wanted to that to be something that you all consider. So if we could add that as discussion item I. All right, Council, is there anything else that needs to be added to this agenda?
I would also like to add an agenda item to action items, maybe I guess it would be J, just a traffic discussion.
Okay.
It came up during I've heard a lot about it recently. I'd like us to have just a bit of a discussion about that.
Okay. And there's, you said there's 2 or just 1?
Just that one,
Okay.
just J.
Anything else from the council? City manager, is there anything else we need to add?
City
I mean, the city attorney, thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
City Attorney.
Yes, if you could add 5 other items. I have a resolution in the package that we prepared, is a reaffirmation of the Sunday brunch resolution that we want to do. There were some questions about the carryover from Gwinnett County as to private clubs, and this will answer all those, any potential questions. I just think it's belt and suspenders, but I'm going to ask you to go ahead and do it anyway. And then we have 4 appointments, one for acting city clerk, one for acting deputy city clerk, one for acting municipal court clerk, and one for acting deputy municipal court clerk for tonight. And I asked that you would go ahead and do that, so we could do that as a housekeeping matter at the end.
can I just put that under, action item L, the clerk appointments, or do you want those
That's
listed out
fine.
separately? Okay. All right, anything else from the council? All right, then at this time, I will make a motion to amend the Mulberry City Council regular meeting agenda for November 20th, 2025, to add action item MI, which is a discussion of the Truist account, action item MJ, which is a traffic discussion, action item MK, which is a consideration of a Sunday brunch resolution, and action item ML, which would be the clerk appointments. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Ingram. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 4, the amendment carries. Then at this time, I will make a motion to adopt the Mulberry City Council regular meeting agenda for November 20th, 2025 as amended. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 4, the Mulberry City Council regular meeting agenda for this evening as amended is hereby adopted. All right, that will bring us to action item I, which is a consideration of the November 6, 2025 meeting minutes. Has the council had sufficient time to review those minutes, and are there any additions or changes that need to be made? Okay, then I will entertain a motion on this.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from the November 6th meeting.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you, Councilman Shields. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? By a vote of 4, the Mulberry City Council regular meeting minutes from November the 6th, 2025 are hereby adopted. All right, that brings us to action item J, consideration of the November 10th, 2025 special called meeting minutes. Has the council had time to review these? Are there any changes that need to be made?
Mr. Mayor, I just want to clarify for the public that this special call meeting, there was a 1 instead of a 0 when we did it on the agenda that we posted outside, so we redid the meeting on the 12th. But because this was a publicly held meeting where there was a quorum, we wanted to make sure that those minutes were available. So this is, there's not 2 separate meetings, but just for purpose of transparency, we wanted to make sure that both of those were reflected inside the agenda and that you all reviewed them.
Perfect, thank you. Any changes to the November 10th meeting minutes? Hearing none, then I will make a motion to adopt the Mulberry City Council special called meetings for November the 10th, 2025. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 4, the special call meetings minutes for November the 10th are hereby adopted. All right, that brings us to the Mulberry City Council special call meeting minutes for November the 12th. As the council reviewed these, any changes that need to be made to these minutes? All right, then again, I will make the motion to adopt the Mulberry City Council special call meeting minutes for November the 12th, 2025. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Ingram. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, these minutes are also adopted.
Mr. Mayor, that was a vote of 4 with 1 absent.
Thank you, I'm sorry, that was a, thank you, by a vote of 4. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to action item L, which is our public comment section. If you'd like to give a public comment, this section, we limit it to 2 minutes per individual. We'll keep the timer up here. We also ask you to sign our pads so we have your name for the record. And then when you come forward, if you could state your name, state your address, and if you know what district of Mulberry you live in, state that as well. So would anybody here like to give a public comment this evening?
I would.
Okay, come on up. If you don't mind, sign the pad up there, but state your name, your address, and tell us if you know what district you live in.
My name is Tim Akins. I live at 3754 Old Friendship Road. I'm a little slow. I know I can't get it in 2 minutes. I never got anything in the mail that I'm annexed in the Mulberry city. Somebody had to tell me. If I'd have wanted to be in the city, I'd have built a house in the city. I try and farm for a living. I hadn't lived there my whole life. I have been down there my whole life. I've been on this same property my entire life. So I get a copy of the ordinance, had to pay somebody to do that. I think there's 210 pages of it, if I'm not mistaken.
Close to it, yes, sir.
Is that right? It reads more like a HOA to me, and that's why I'm not in a subdivision. I don't think there's one line item on there that I'm not in violation of. I was told I was grandfathered in, I don't know. And the officer back here, he can go ahead and lock me up. I've been shooting deer there for 51 years. I've killed deer this year. I didn't know I was in violation of that till the other day. How come there hadn't, I mean, if I'm gonna be annexed into the city, shouldn't I have gotten something in the mail? I mean, I'm not computer literate, so I mean, I don't search online for everything. I don't know who my district commissioner is, have not a clue. I didn't get introduced. And on Old Friendship Road, there's 2 houses that got annexed in. When I built a house, I was the 5th house on the street. Now there's 22 houses on the street. I know y'all are making your money with ad valorem. I don't know why you didn't annex the subdivision at the end of the street and the other 20-something houses on the other side of the street to get to ad valorem. I'm on 4 acres. Now I lease the same land that my grandfather farmed. He was a sharecropper. He didn't own it. I mean, I know no other way to put it than sharecropper.
I just want to acknowledge that was the 2 minutes. You all can give more time if you'd like.
Sure, I mean, if you want to take another 30 seconds or a minute, just kind of
Well,
wrap it up.
it looks to me, if you look at the map, it's a land grab for large vacant tracts of land. And I'm missing something. If y'all are to control growth, I get that, but you're about 40 years too late on that. If you getting your money through ad valorem, I was told that my property tax is still gonna go to Gwinnett County because they're providing the services. So it just seems to me, being a businessman, small businessman, that y'all ought to annex the subdivision. Hell, I bet there's 500 cars down there. There's your ad valorem tags. Is that not where y'all getting some of the money from? Am I wrong? I don't know.
So typically the council, we're not allowed to respond to your public comments. I will tell you, we do not have a property tax, so that's why you're not paying a property tax to Mulberry. So that, just to correct that in the record, but yes, if you were, what's your address?
3754 Old Friendship Road.
Okay.
2 houses on that road. I'm on 4 acres. My neighbor, he's on about 20 acres. I think his house parcel may be smaller, I'm not sure. That's his business, not mine. But I lease 106 acres. It goes from, and I farm it, and some hay and some row crop stuff. I enjoy doing it. There's no money in it, I'm retired. But it goes from Friendship Road to Thompson Mill Road to North Puckett Road. I did all one landowner. I got a long-term lease on it. And her idea is to keep this just like it is from now on. So I mean, it plays into what y'all say, controlling development. So you won't have to worry about a sewer coming down through there, as long as I'm alive anyway. And I know I went past my 2 minutes, so I don't want to
Sir, I
welcome
want
out.
to give you one of my cards, and I kind of tell you what we're talking about as far as the city plan, and you can grab one of theirs as well. But we can continue this either today or.
Okay, who's my council member?
It might be me, or I think
It's one of the 2 of us.
yeah, I think it's me. Let me give you one of mine too. So yeah, I'll set
So
up the
y'all
time.
aren't sure who my
If
councilman is?
you're on Thompson Mill, so he's got
Old
the Thompson-
Friendship Road.
Old Friendship, okay.
Right. I'm the other only house that
Okay.
and property that got annexed
Yeah. Yeah, cause he's half of that and I'm the other half, so it's one of the two.
Probably me,
But yeah,
my friendship.
so, but yeah, definitely, give us a call or send us an email and we'll set
I
up.
don't email, I'll have to call,
All right,
somebody
give
will
me a
call me
call.
back.
Yeah, perfect, sounds great. All right, thank you, sir. All right, is there anyone else who'd like to give a public comment? Sure. If you could state your name, your address, and then, if you could state, like I said, we'll start the clock for 2 minutes.
Here you go, I'll give you a pen, I come from,
Is this yours?
yeah, I want it back.
My name is Dan Morton. I live at 3744 Old Friendship Road. And I own the 20 acres. My house is on 1.9 acres of that, with the whole 20 around it. And I just wanna know why I was annexed. I had no vote. I know a couple of years ago, y'all had a vote. And people could vote to be in the city of Mulberry. And again, I have a little homestead, chickens, I got goats. I'm gonna probably have some pigs. Now, I'm in the city. So, the city of Mulberry are gonna come and dispatch my animals because I'm in a city? You know, so I don't know why, we're the only two houses on that road, and the subdivision has 75 houses.
At the end, yeah.
At the end, and then another subdivision off Old Friendship, there's another 44 homes. My neighbor on the right, he's not in the city of Mulberry, so I'm wondering why you picking on us, why we were selected to be in the city of Mulberry. As he stated, if I wanted to be in a city, I would have moved to the city. I like the country, that's land has been in my family for a long time. I don't know, no communication, nothing. And so I do, like I said, I sell eggs, goats, stuff, so what do we do? Is that gonna be allowed in the city? On our homestead, which my homestead was there before the city of Mulberry. And as per Gwinnett County rules, I'm zoned agricultural.
Rural
Rural agricultural, so. I don't know, y'all, I don't know, I'm in the dark, we have nothing, no anything. So, you know, I'm just, you know, I'm a little upset about it, cause I am retired, I like my homestead, I like, you know, messing with chickens and pigs and stuff, so. Y'all gonna take that away from us?
So that was the 2 minutes, and what I'd like to do is, if y'all mind, we can either talk tomorrow or after this meeting, whenever the meeting's done, cause I gotta be here until they.
Better after the meeting.
We can talk after the meeting, I can kinda
Okay.
give you an idea of everything.
And you are,
Yes, sir.
hey, nice to meet you, I appreciate it, first time I got to meet you.
Good calling.
Thank you,
Here,
appreciate it.
have a card,
I-
give it to your friend.
I did look, Tim is y'all's representative. Tim
As
is
did
y'all's
I.
representative.
Okay, well, it's good to know,
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I like the heads up.
All right, is there anyone else who'd like to give a public comment? All right, hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the public comment period. That is to action items M, part 1. The first one is an IGA with the city of Lawrenceville, Georgia. City attorney, I think, is gonna present this one.
This is a cleanup of last year's legislation. Last year's legislation that had all the annexations. There was a, how shall I say it? Somebody had hit a wrong key on a typewriter. They still have such things. And they hit made a parcel that was actually in the city of Lawrenceville, and they put that as part of the annexation process, and it was found later on after it all been signed. The law provides that it's actually a nullity. You cannot de-annex from one city and annex to the next city in one bill, so that part of the bill is actually a nullity anyway. But in an abundance of caution, the city attorney in Lawrenceville and myself have worked out this little intergovernmental agreement that basically says that they're gonna continue just like they've been doing before and taking care of that house and taking care of that person. We both acknowledge that it's a nullity, but we both acknowledge and agree that we're gonna go back to the legislature this year and have them legislatively change it too. So this is just a belt and suspenders, saying that we all agree what we believe the law to be, and that we're gonna continue under the same law. So if you just pass that, we'll give comfort to Lawrenceville that we can continue moving on and getting the legislature to change it for us.
Any questions from the council for the city attorney? No? Hearing none, then I will make a motion to adopt the intergovernmental agreement between the city of Mulberry and the city of Lawrenceville, Georgia, as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Shields. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 4, the intergovernmental agreement between Mulberry and Lawrenceville is hereby adopted. All right, that brings us to action item MB, which is a consideration to purchase a printer for the city of Mulberry. All right, we'll turn it over to the city manager.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So we have a printer that has been great for us. We lease that printer though. Well, the situation we're running into is now that we have zonings and everything else, printing out the packets, our current agreement says that we're charged a certain amount per page on top of a monthly fee. We just feel that, looking at the budget, it'd be a lot cheaper if we would just purchase a printer, and then from the purchase, we would be able to just buy paper, right? So it reduces our overall costs, and that's the idea for the situation. The request here is that we allow for about, $6,500, because it's $6,000 plus taxes, to be authorized, no more than that, for us to purchase a printer.
Any questions for the city manager about this? All right, hearing none, I will entertain a motion on this.
Make a motion, Mr. Mayor, to provide a $6,500 allocation to the city manager for the purchase of a printer for the city of Mulberry.
Thank you, Councilman Ingram. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 4, the city and the city manager hereby authorized up to an amount of $6,500 to purchase a new printer for the city. All right, that brings us to action item C, consideration of the Tough Book proposal.
Evening, Mayor and Council. The Tough Book proposal is actually, they are portable laptops that go inside the vehicles that we currently have. Those are industry standard, and primarily they're used for the officers to do reports, also be able to view their videos while they're in their car. Basically, it makes their car their office. I know that individually these things are expensive, right? But that's because of the dynamics of how they're built. Those things rattle around in the cars, they get in and out of cars and things like that, so you have to have, and unfortunately, they get the weather on them. So that's why we are looking at the Tough Books. Those are actually on the state contract price, so we got 4, look at it, there was 4 actual quotes that we got. 3 of them if we purchased the Tough Books straight out. The other one was a lease program. The benefit of the lease program, that I'm just to keep it kind of short for you, is that it extends the warranty from 3 years to 5 years. And also, of course, you don't have the total upfront cost of what it costs to purchase the Tough Books. But additionally, it comes with IT assistance. So that's, to me, when you don't have to have an extra body to do the IT portion of it, because we are IT heavy, right? In law enforcement today, it's not just a gun and a badge and go out there and work anymore, right? We use a lot of different programs and things to try to help us do our job. So those are the 2 options: either buy them out or possibly lease them along the way.
Any questions from the council for the chief?
Yeah, I assume if the lease extends warranty to 5 years, then you're gonna lease that one unit for 5 years and then do a replacement?
Yes, sir. And the other key to that, under the warranty, if that Tough Book were to fail, they would send us a new one, we'd send that one back.
Versus buying you.
First, after the 3 years.
You have to replace.
Yes, sir. And I think, you know, I'm not the most savvy guy when it comes to that kind of stuff, right? I'll be the first to tell you. We're talking guns or something like that, you know, it'd be a little bit better, but, really, I think the best benefit is that we're gonna have 24-hour IT assistance if something goes down with that computer. It kind of saves the city money on the backside for not having to have that individual, that expertise, at that point. Also extends the warranty, like I said before, and to me, it's the best, deal for what you're paying.
Does it include software upgrades or whatever they do?
So it's a PC, right? So it'll have Windows, and so anything with that, but any other software that we use, that'll be the responsibility of the company we get it from. And I'm doing my best as we do this to try to keep everything in the cloud or web-based. That way, you know, all we're doing is going into another site rather than having things kept here and stored here.
In the company that you identified, Chief, there, I guess somebody you think can provide the support that's necessary, this 24/7?
Yes, sir.
Yes, well known.
Yes, sir. Well, it's Panasonic itself.
Oh, okay, got it,
Panasonic.
okay. And the only other question I have is relative to budget and everything that we previously spec'd out. We're all good there?
Yes, sir.
Feel
So,
comfortable?
one thing I wanna acknowledge is that, you know, building the plane while it's flying. We passed our budget. We have some major budget amendments that we'll bring in December,
Okay.
for some revenue adjustments that we got.
Okay.
So, our insurance, we anticipated what we budgeted for. Most of that cost at council's, ask when we did the budget hearing was moved to the marshal's department, and that's where these proposals that you're gonna see will be.
That's helpful. Okay, gotcha. So we had a positive variance in budget that is now able to provide us some wind in the sails.
7 figures more than we anticipated, and so I would say, a little over, 3/4 of that we put towards the marshal services, and getting them up and running and getting that department to the same level that we have the others.
Got it.
Yeah, just for the public, it's not that our insurance premiums went up, it's that we received more from the insurance commissioner as part of our city cut of the fees, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, any other questions for the chief about the tough books? None? Then I will entertain a motion on this.
Make a motion, Mr. Mayor, to provide approval for the tough book proposal as presented by Chief.
All right, we have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Discussion. Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by vote of 4, the tough book proposal as presented by the Chief Marshal is hereby approved. All right, that will bring us to action item MD, consideration of the Marshal's radio proposal.
Yes, sir. So if you go to our radio proposal, it's been put together by Motorola. I did the write-up on it. Again, this is very technical, right? So the radio systems, the radio that we're asking for are compatible with the P25 system that Gwinnett County currently has in place. So that would allow our marshals to talk to Gwinnett County and vice versa. It keeps interoperability, which is very important in these days and time where we can talk to one another and know what's going on in surrounding areas. Additionally, these are for 6 radios and 6 portable radios that the marshals will carry on their person.
Any questions for the chief about the radios? I have one question, Chief. Have you been able to have any discussion with the county about the 800 megahertz and the numbers and those kind of items?
Yes, sir. We have actually got an IGA and an MOU from Gwinnett County requesting us, we've been talking and requested that if we're going to go this route, they need 120 days to know how many radios we're going to put on the system. But it seems that they're willing to work with us on that and give us some radio space.
Great. Okay. Any other questions for the chief?
One quick question, Mr. Mayor. I know we got a few options, so, because I'm reading through here, we got some different options in how we acquire the radios, is that right? So what we're approving is basically just to go forward for you guys to choose the best path.
That's correct.
Okay, got it.
So this aligns with some of the STS discussions that we talked about, and I will say, right, like, there is some rocky points that will happen with the county and continue to happen with the county, and, you know, potentially Gwinnett PD, but that PD has been a great partner with us as we start up our marshal service. And, this is just, you know, allowing us for emergency management in situations like that to start moving forward, because we have to be on that same radio frequency.
Got it. Any other questions? All right, hearing none, I will entertain a motion on the radios.
Make a motion, Mr. Mayor, to approve the chief marshal radio proposal as presented.
All right, thank you, Councilman Ingram. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 4, the radio proposal is hereby adopted. All right, that brings us to action item ME, consideration of Axon cameras and tasers. Sorry, did I?
Yeah, it's still cheap.
Okay. I was like, did I make a mistake?
It's still
I
cheap.
was trying to make you feel uncomfortable.
Good job, because I really thought I made a mistake. All right.
So the Axon taser and camera system is there's a few options when it comes to camera systems, but it seems that Axon seems to be the one that everybody seems to be going. This proposal is for 6 cameras, 6 body-worn cameras and 6 in-car cameras to go. What's unique about these systems are we'll be able to live stream into the vehicles, and we know where the officers are. They have GPS on them. Of course, there'll be policies in place. We don't want people just eavesdropping on the officers. They need some privacy, right? But this also includes what they call a cradle point, and the cradle point is very important for 2 purposes. The cradle point is kind of like it's the cell phone in the car, right? It talks to our cameras and allows us to have those options. On top of that, it also will power our computer system that we're putting in the car. So it's kind of got a dual purpose for that. And then again, we're talking about tasers as well, right? We're going with the new Taser 10, which is, I hate to say it like this, but they're kind of like Apple. Every 5 years, they're going to put a new phone out or something, then you got to go to the next one because they're going to service it. But you know, that's the business model, and that's what we have to work with. And then finally, part of this program is a virtual reality piece for training, which is pretty exciting. It allows our officers to work in a virtual reality ecosystem and practice use of force, and that's changed the scenarios along the way. So it's a pretty robust system, it's a pretty robust ability to be able to do that, and you know, be able to do that in house and not have to go somewhere is important as well to save time.
I have one quick question. So obviously, I know when we, as the resident lawyer, right, that when you get body worn cameras, that opens a whole floodgate for open records requests, right?
Yes, sir.
Or do we feel like, obviously, when we purchase these and we're moving forward, do we feel like we have a good system in place that we can handle that?
I think we're going to have to work on that.
Yeah.
We are, you know, with administrative staff, we're just going to have to see how we can make that happen. But I would say this, that it's the standard now, best practice in law enforcement. Whether we're prepared or not, we need to get prepared if we're going to be out there enforcing any type of code enforcement, any type of laws, that it's expected today that there's a first person recording of that. And let me make it clear that the video cameras, body worn cameras, don't catch everything. Right? That's where we have to use common sense sometimes, that, you know, it's not going to catch things, it's going to make things appear to be closer than what it is or further away than what it is, depending on the lens. And it's a tool to provide evidence, but it's not the end all be all.
So I'll chime in on this part. We are currently looking at the best on the admin side, the best place for all of our storage, whether it be cloud-based, internal server, combination of both, right? We want to go ahead and let law enforcement and our marshal's office and those officers, we drive that. because that's gonna be best for just, their footage to be held, as well as, if you see those little black boxes in the ceiling, those are our cameras. Our footage will be held long-term, that kind of thing. So we're being very conscious and, methodical when it comes to where we're gonna have our digital data, just because of the fact that this is, the whole world's moving away from paper, right? So I need to make sure that we do what's right by our marshals and make sure that we have a space for that, as well as all of our other operations.
Yeah, I would agree, definitely in the cloud, that's what I do for a day in the IT world, and yes, everybody in public sector is moving to cloud-based. If they're not gonna survive.
And this proposal actually includes cloud space for our recordings. And the other thing that's important is us to keep track of what type of recordings are, because there's retention schedules on some of them that are only 90 days, 60 days, and then there's others that we have to keep forever. So those retention schedules will have to be monitored as well.
Any other questions for the chief about the body cameras or the tasers? All right, hearing none, then I will make the motion to adopt the proposal for the acquisition and implementation of the Axon ecosystem taser and body worn cameras and the VR training system. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 4, the proposal is hereby accepted. All right, that will lead us to action item MF, consideration of marshal equipment proposal.
I think that kind of got the cart before the horse, right, when we talk about the equipment, but but that equipment's actually to go into the marshal's vehicle. So it depends on what route that goes and how the other goes.
So is there any additional equipment proposals we need to
So
vote on, or we?
I'd like to combine the two. So the item we put in for the chief marshal to have a vehicle at the last council meeting, and we were asked by you all to go back and look for, more quotes. We went and found 4 quotes. This price that we originally had showed y'all was the cheapest place for the vehicle, at that amount that was listed. So we want to just go ahead and get it equipped, and then that's what this proposal is. I put it opposite on the agenda by accident, but that's what it is.
Okay, so just so I'm clear from a procedural standpoint, so action item G is the consideration of the vehicle purchase. Outfitting that vehicle is action item F, is that
Yeah.
correct? All right.
Yeah, and I should have asked you beforehand to swap those two, but I didn't notice it until just a second ago.
Okay,
So.
Okay, all right, then,
Mayor, as a matter, you can engross both of these into the same one if you desire to.
okay, that would be great. Do I need to take a motion to do that?
Just, if
okay.
you just announce you're gonna engross the 2 of them together, that'll be sufficient.
Okay, and we're gonna gross action item M, F, and MG together, basically, so that we can basically consider them at the same time. So Chief, if you don't mind just speaking about those together.
Yes, sir. So the chief marshal vehicle, we are looking at purchasing that because even though we do have 5 vehicles that were donated to us, I kind of know the history of a few of those vehicles. And though they are safe, I want to make that clear, I think the least amount of miles is 81,000. Now you may say, oh, well, my car's got 81,000, but it doesn't have 81,000 police miles on it, right? It doesn't have the long-term idling time on it. Additionally, I think the one with the most is 119,000. So in perspective, the vehicle's not just for me. I want to make that clear. I have to travel throughout the state, go to training, and marshals will have to go with me. Now, the option is, somebody can sit in the back of one of those vehicles that's had a bunch of, people in the back, done different things in it, or we can have a vehicle that we can travel in. Additionally, I'm an instructor, and the ability to put extra equipment inside that vehicle is pretty important, especially for firearms training, carrying ammunition, things like that along the way. All that stuff compounds why we need a separate vehicle to do that kind of work. One, it's a special purpose vehicle more than anything. It's not just a patrol ride around vehicle.
I do need to add one other thing to this, right? those vehicles and I started our career at the same time. They were purchased around the same time, before they were donated to the city of Mulberry. And, long-term asset management for us also needs to start thinking about equipment, technology, disposal cycles. And, those vehicles are great. We need to start cycling into vehicles. This is a great opportunity to start cycling one into our fleet. This also gives the opportunity to go up to 5 marshals within this fiscal year based on the budget amendment adjustments that you're gonna see. And we're gonna do the same thing with all the rest of our equipment. It's just starting the retention plan on the assets that we have.
And then just to piggyback a little bit, those are all 2017s. Again, they start, they run, they're safe.
They're free.
They're free. But you gotta think of how technology's changed, right? The safety factors, the pre-collision alarms that we have in cars now, the blind spot things, the sensors that we have, those didn't come about in that year of vehicle. So we need to start thinking about safety. Ford now, when a vehicle has an accident, it deploys airbags according to what side the crush is on. So all of them don't just deploy and can end up hurting somebody. It really depends on what zone that it's in. Those vehicles don't have that kind of protection. So as we move forward, it's not just, hey, we'd like to have newer vehicles. It's more of, the safety features that are coming along with it.
And regarding the vehicle, I know that when we discussed this last time, correct me, this is through the state contract as well, is that right?
Yes, sir. So the vehicle at Brandon Ford, that's the one we presented last time. Yes, sir. Down in Unadilla. So what we did, we went back and got state contract prices. And you can see they do vary a little bit. But it ended up Brandon Ford was still the lowest. Again, now because nobody has 2025s on the lot except them, right? We were quoted 2026s. And so we were given an additional discount because of that, because it was still on the lot. So, but that doesn't affect the warranty. The warranty is the day it's bought. I think there's plans to actually finance this vehicle and help build the city credit up, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it's a good opportunity, a win-win all the way around to enhance us as we move forward, but also to assist the city.
And these were for in regard to features, because every car has different features.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. I understand the question for a second, but yes.
Okay.
We sent the buyer sheet, we blacked it all out, and so
Okay.
that's how we did it.
Well, obviously, as a city with no property taxes, right, I mean, I appreciate you taking the extra step to shop it around a little bit and determine that it still was the lowest price, so I appreciate you doing that very much, Chief. Thank you.
No, that's a responsible thing to do.
Any other questions from the council?
No, I don't. I was just wondering if we can put like a red bow on it, or for the city, not for the chief, but for the city. Like a commercial. I know we're close to Christmas. I feel like, I kind of feel like I'm having a conversation.
Red bow, maybe some antlers.
Yeah, right.
I'm just bragging about how he's being conservative. You want to spend
No, I
It's
would,
green if you're gonna get.
I would,
It's mulberry green.
yeah, it's true, that is true, we need a mulberry. The only thing I would say, Chief, is I think one of the things that we've already heard from constituents in the district is they appreciate the presence.
Yes, sir.
And so, Gwinnett Police Department, they do an amazing job. I think, having you all out there and being able to have communication, be operationally ready to support and, kind of help in those cases, I think that's all a big win for the city.
Well, I think overall, our goal is to be a good partner, right? That's what our goal with Gwinnett County. There's no way we can all do it all the time, right? We all need help along the way, and that is my specific goal, is to be a good partner and work with each other and to make Mulberry safe. Citizens deserve that, right?
It is, and I think it also is probably gone, we kind of made a point of it, but all of the vehicles that are currently in the Marshall's fleet were donated to us, thankfully, from the city of Woodstock, which was amazing. We certainly appreciate that, so, that's a great thing, too.
The only other thing I want to add is I challenge Chief and Sarge to really make this work with Gwinnett County, okay? Gwinnett County PD is like a big brother, okay? And when you look at that, this added support, but our citizens want that presence, to be able to know who is on patrol in your neighborhood every day, that kind of thing. The working relationship that we're starting to build with Gwinnett County PD and our marshal's office is really gonna be, strong going forward. It's just that we can handle the local presence, they can be here as well for assistance. We have two great precincts that operate inside the city with them, and so, this is just added security for our residents, which is what the whole point of starting, part of what the whole point of starting the city was about, so.
Thanks, Chief.
Yes, sir. And then, to just comment on the equipment, the equipment was, I think I got 4 quotes for that as well. And the equipment, is just basically lights and cages and things like that that go inside the car, basic law enforcement stuff that we're putting in there. Nothing, as elaborate as our tasers and, tough books and all that cool stuff, so.
All right, any questions for the chief about the purchase of a vehicle or the outfitting of the equipment? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion on this one.
To make a motion to provide approval for the engrossed item of the marshal's equipment proposal, as well as the chief marshal's vehicle items up for G.
All right, we have a motion. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councilman Shields. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 4, the chief is authorized to purchase a vehicle for the city of Mulberry, and to outfit it with the equipment as presented.
How to turn this off?
A little button on the bottom.
There ain't no button on the bottom. Oh, I see it now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to action item H, which is the consideration of the City Logic's proposal. I believe the city manager is going to discuss this one.
I am, if I can figure out how to make this TV work.
It's at the end of that HDMI.
I'll say next slide. We'll go to it. Okay, so, we've had a lot of questions about roads, sidewalks, trees, what we're gonna do inside the right of way, how we're gonna handle it. So here is the proposal on how we think we're gonna handle it. So, we've looked at a couple of companies, and after, shopping around with a couple of companies, getting some ideas with them, working with, Low Engineering, who is handling, our stormwater, we started talking with a company called City Logistics. And since we don't have a public works department, this is kind of the idea of what we would like to do. City Logistics is a company that uses innovative technology to kind of identify problems. The main thing that we need to figure out now as a city is know what we don't know. We need to identify what signs are damaged, what trees are going dead inside the right of way, what sidewalks are a hazard, what ADA ramps need to be fixed, and start to work on a program to how we tackle these things and fix them. So next slide, please. This is a little bit about City Logistics. City Logistics works with the city of Brookhaven, city of Lithonia, West Point, Gainesville, Lilburn, and the idea is if you see what I call the Waymo cars roll around, right? There's somebody in them though. They're taking images of everything around that you asked them to take an image of. We have asked them that if this proposal were to pass, we would want to see trees, again, give us a grade of the road and let us know, the durability of the road. Sidewalks, if there are any things in sidewalks like broken concrete, raised concrete, things of that nature, so we know where to repair them. And then same thing with ADA ramps. and then I ask them to look at traffic signs, right? Because all those sit inside the right of way, but we need to identify where stop signs are, where yield signs are, traffic signals. Because the best way to know when something's gonna go out is when you see that it's damaged, or you can try to put a grade to it. Next slide, please. So the way this works is we can work with City Logistics. They'll build us a database, and through the database, we can then start performing inspections, put workflows together, know exactly where these issues are, and then it gives you an idea of what durability is left in your road. And this is how we identify repaving, set a schedule to it. And I think one of the best models that I've seen is the city of Dunwoody, is how they do the program. They take it over a 5-year program. They put it up on the website, and they say, hey, this road is an F grade, so it'll take a little bit more money, so it'll be repaired in 27. This road is a B or C grade. It's gonna be first priority because it may just be a little bit more asphalt or a little fill that needs to go in there, okay? So that's kind of what we wanna set a similar program for. That way we can be very transparent with how we plan on fixing roads, sidewalks, signs, anything else that's in this area, and let everybody know, have it up on our website. And then with City Logistics, they do what I thought was pretty cool, was a before and after year over year. So you can kind of see all the grades of the roads when we first start the program and what they are in the following year, so you can see the improvements along the way. This allows us to be a lot more budget conscious too, because one of our biggest expenses is going to be construction, right? Capital improvements. As far as sidewalks, our biggest liability is anything related to sidewalks or ADA ramps, and so that's how we wanted to make sure we measure that. One thing that I also thought was pretty cool was where it says connected car data. So, we mentioned beforehand, technology constantly changes, especially in vehicles, and brands like Mercedes, Volkswagen, Porsche, Audi, a lot of things you see around this area, have built-in technology inside of their tires that is sent to companies like City Logistics, where they can collect it and they can tell you on a consistent basis the deterioration, how fast it's happening inside of the road. And so having that data implemented inside of what we're doing by vehicles that everyday drivers are using inside their tires, we can then kind of pinpoint, what's going on this one road, right? Is it construction traffic? Is it just regular vehicle traffic? I kind of nerd out on this stuff, and when you really look at it, you can change a residential road significantly over a year or two by having too many trucks or too many construction vehicles going through a subdivision to extend it, right? So we can see that without having to constantly go their data, just because these companies have already done, put that infrastructure inside of their, vehicles for every day. Next slide, please. And so I think they got a little video. We're gonna try to make this work about this. Yeah, play. My computer's probably oh, but it's hooked in there. Yeah. So you can kind of see through this video, it kind of, and I can send it out. We'll make sure we have it in the record for anybody who wants it. But it kind of gives you an idea of how they start to lay out their infrastructure, and a little bit about what their their data accuracy is. Because we can't hear it, we don't have to play the whole thing. But once they go through this data process, then they start to have it to where we'll actually have a page on our website to where everybody can go to the city website. And again, one of our key things is being transparent and showing like, hey, here's all the information you collected. You'll be able to turn on a layer and see that here are all your damaged signs, here where, we can start working on improvements. Here are, where your pavement deficiencies are, and it grades it to where, we can take a look at the grade, but it'll color code it for, everybody else. I think the big thing, since we don't have a public works department, it's gonna be that tree inventory, because as someone whose job has been for the last couple of years to protect the assets of citizens with their tax dollars, one of the biggest things we're gonna run into is what happens when down trees come. All right, winter comes, down trees start happening, you know, usually that's your public works department. So if we can't do that, or if Gwinnett County is having to deal with other areas, what we can do is we can go ahead and collect this data while we're doing our road infrastructure and go ahead and get a contractor involved and start trimming up or taking down dead trees that are close to the right of way. So what that does is it makes it a preventative measure where we can be mindful of what areas, you know, can be sensitive to having, you know, down forestry, and to go ahead and eliminate that. And I'll do the next slide. Yeah, there we go. That's another thing that's what we were talking about, where you know, these companies, and this is a little bit about the technology and how the trip indicator works. I didn't even know this was a thing until I started like looking at it, but apparently, you know, this is happening all over the country, because, you know, this is something that is, being, you know, a public works guy, like, this is something everybody worries about, right? Like, how are we gonna make sure we have enough funds to prepare the roads? So this is kind of a look at what the website will look like in the future. It's something where, you know, you'll be able to kind of see the streets that we've identified, and we have the ability to not say, now I've priced in the proposal, right, more miles than we have inside the city. I just want to be clear about that. That proposal price is the maximum price that we're asking to contract for, and it'll be less once they start doing centerline miles. The main thing is we can evaluate, we can do it by section, we can do the whole city at one time. The big thing here is we want to make sure that all citizens know when they start, you know, asking about their road, you know, how we're going to fix it. So this is kind of a little bit of planning. We can do the next slide. Yeah, we'll fast forward through the video. What this is doing now is just showing, you know, how we can go through it. You'll be able to see it. This is what it looks like on the back end, and it's a really good software to start our asset management process as a city. You know, we have to account for everything that we are responsible for maintaining, and in this case, it's primarily everything inside the right of way, and how we can be budget conscious about that. So. Yeah, just fast forward the whole thing. It's not as good without sound.
Is the public allowed to ask a question about that?
Not at this point. After the meeting, you can come up and talk to us, but not right now.
So, yeah, so next slide here is, this just kind of gives you an idea of what this is, and part of the reason why we decided to go with city logistics is a lot of people want a lot of upfront costs, okay? This breaks it up into 3 years, and it gives us the option of, you know, this is what it costs in year 1, what it costs in year 2, or we can break that up into 3 equal payments across the, you know, across the 3-year process. And this really makes it manageable from a budgetary standpoint on, you know, how we handle and tackle the investment of all of our, you know, assets inside the right of way. Next slide. Yeah. So, yeah, we can exit out of it. If you have any, you know, that's kind of the presentation. You know, y'all asked, you know, how we plan on working on managing public works, things of that nature, since we don't have a public works department. The idea here is that with mine and my staff's background, it would be handled through the CM's office, and that's how we would, you know, look at and assess the assets inside the right of way.
Any questions for the city manager on this one?
I have one. I don't think it's apparent in this, but I think it's a good point maybe, and I wanna make sure I'm clear on the point myself. Like, so we're being asked obviously to approve the proposal, but if we didn't go that route, there would be a cost to pursue another route, right? like either way, we're gonna have a
Either
cost.
way, there's a cost.
Right.
Right?
And so this is a solution that is kind of maybe a force multiplier of sorts for you guys in the city manager's office to allow us to address issues.
Absolutely. So
Okay.
there's a couple reasons why we decided to go this route.
Yeah.
All right. The first one is if you look how traditional government work, right? You get a staff of a bunch of people. You get two dudes in a truck who are riding around looking, and then they like have a map and they put X's on what catch basins, sidewalks, everything else isn't operating right. And then they start to go out and look at it and go, okay, well, here's what we can do. They go get quotes on how to fix it. We put it out to bid if we can fix it, and then you go out for construction, okay? That is just how it's done, all right? The thing with that is now you're adding personnel, now you're adding another vehicle, now you're looking at, how do we start to, on top of all the construction costs and how we start to tackle those things.
Yeah.
I'm of the mindset of, we don't have, shall not have a millage rate here. We need to be very budget conscious on how we tackle, handling various situations that we're gonna run into. Coming from that mindset, this keeps personnel low. This also works with making sure that we can be transparent with our data once we collect it, so that everyone is, sees the same thing that we do, right? Like, it won't be a question in the future of, we had a very lovely couple who were here at Planning Commission on Tuesday, and one thing that kind of was disheartening to me was they said, we've been here for, almost 50 years, and Barrow County paved half our road one time, and then Gwinnett paved half our road 30 years ago, right? That's not fault of anybody other than the fact that, like, there's many governments don't have a capital improvement plan. There are very few that know how to, or even think about how are we going to manage our assets long term that's good for all citizens. And so thinking about that, right, the idea here is that everybody can kind of see, what roads are worse than others, and this is why, Billy got his road paved before Sally, or vice versa.
So in the proposal, so they're gonna map using technology and software versus using people, us hiring personnel and trucks and everything else to go out and map roads. So we're gonna use technology to kind of help us do that quickly. How fast are they able to map the roads? Is this can you elaborate on how quickly?
Yeah,
mapping-
this will happen over the course of about 3 months.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah, we'll
So it
have
doesn't take any-
all
yeah.
that, we'll have all that back end data.
I
And the
think-
good
yeah.
thing is that we already have a great GIS department that's already put up our map. So we're already working on our center line miles, right? Every year we gotta report our center line mileage to the state. And so we're pulling that center line miles now, so they don't have to go out and try to gather that too.
Yeah.
So they have our GIS, their drivers know where to go, and I call it the Waymo card, but right, it's the same thing that, every other map app that you have, Google, Waze, all of those, right? So you'll see the car with the thing on top of it, and it's taking the images as you go through.
Yeah.
So we'll be able to have a video of all of our roads, we'll be able to have, the grade of all of our roads, as well as, imagery of where we can see like that 3D map of what needs to be fixed. So, all that's included, and I think the big thing for me versus everybody else with them was the idea that like, it's something that can be broken up over 3 years.
Yeah. Well, I think it's too, what we have, a lot of the decisions, it's exactly what you said, in a resource constrained environment, how do we make smart choices so that we can achieve the things that we need to do with sometimes a limited budget, so. That's a good idea.
I really like the objective nature of it too, right? It's like, if you have two guys in a truck, right, it's subjective. It's like, well, I know the guy that lives on that corner, so let's say that we'll fix this road first. This is totally objective, right?
Yeah.
So it's data driven, it's we know which are the worst roads, these are the ones we have to address first. Doesn't matter who lives on that street or who, whatever. I think that to me is worth its weight in gold, right? To have that data and that objective basis to go back to the public and say, hey, we've ranked the roads, we've put them from best to worst, and we're gonna start with the worst ones and work our way up type deal.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah, I think it's really, I think it's great. I had another question, I forgot it, but I appreciate the presentation.
Yes, sir.
So I have a question, in regard to when you mentioned that it's gonna be on the website, do they have a portal of some sort that it
They
goes to
do.
them? And it's easy to map through and check it out?
They do. So just as an administrative thing, right, we're currently in the process of not only overhauling our current website, but go ahead and on the back end and looking at where we can add things in the future. That pretty soon you'll still be able to find us on YouTube, right? You'll be able to go to our website, see the live website and look at, what roads are gonna be improved. We also are looking at options to where we can create our own KPIs, right, for the city and say, here are our objectives, here's our budget, and you can see that trend over, quarters or monthly throughout the year, right?
That was a question I was getting. It's actually in line with Mr. Mayor and Councilman Shields' comments, which is just that it's not and it's gonna capture the same information the same way all the time. And our citizens will have access to that, right?
Oh, it's gonna be all public on the internet, right? And that's what we want to do that right. Look,
Correct.
there's two ways you can have it, okay? You can either run a lean operation and be heavy on technology, or you can have a millage rate and have a lot of people do the work. There's only two ways to run it.
Sure.
So the approach that we want to take is we want to make sure that we have the technology in place. We will only hire personnel as it's needed. And we will continue to work with the private sector and other government agencies to make sure that everything works properly.
So will we have input, or you, staff, will have input on how that is mapped out and what's going on? In other words, could we put districts, so they say I'm in District 3 or I'm in District 1, and then they could just see the maps instead of?
I have not talked to them about that level of integration into our GIS, right? But so like our GIS map already has a layer that shows the districts.
That's what
Best way to say it is, us road people, we're kind of funny, like we're down to the data, this is how it's supposed to work, this is how it's supposed to look. I can ask the question if we can add a layer on top of it, but a lot of it will just be looking at the map and kind of knowing like, this is my road, I know where my council road is, or something, or going back and forth between the 2 pages.
Any other questions from the council? All right, then at this time, I'll entertain a motion on the City Logic's proposal.
Make a motion to accept the presentation and move forward with City Logic as presented here tonight.
All right, thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Shields. Any other discussion on this? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 4, the City Logic's proposal as presented is hereby adopted.
Thanks, sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to our first amendment item, which is action item MI, which is the discussion of the Truist account. Gentlemen, I just wanted to bring this before you. So we had previously approved at a prior meeting to open a Truist savings account, right, Jane? Am I getting that right?
Money market account.
Money market account, and we were quoted when it came before us 3.5%. The federal government has since adjusted the rates down, and so it is now 3.4%. And I don't anticipate someone's gonna have an objection of continuing to move forward, but I would like to make sure I have your consent to still move forward with opening that account at 3.4% as opposed to 3.5. Any discussion on that before we?
Take it before it's 3.0.
Yeah, good point. All right, so do you want to make a motion for me on that?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to allow Mayor Coker to sign whatever he needs to with the new rates for the money market account at Truist Bank.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Ingram. Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All right, all opposed by a vote of 4. The mayor will continue to move forward at the 3.4% with the Truist money market. Yeah, thank you, gentlemen. All right, that brings us to action item MJ, which is a traffic discussion. I believe, Councilman Ingram, this was your topic, so I'll take the lead on that.
It was, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of highlight a recurring theme I think we've seen in the last several meetings that we've had. It came up in the planning commission as well, and I think it's started to take on a heavier tone as of late, which is traffic, and particularly, issues with accidents. I heard some comments from citizens about, persons hit on 324, 124, traffic, persons having to be afraid to come out of their driveway because they think they're gonna, in fact, one of the things that compelled me to have the conversation for us to kind of maybe talk about a bit of an action plan going forward. But one of the things that compelled me to talk about it with you all and see if we can figure it out was there was a comment from a resident who mentioned that she had been in an accident outside her home, and her daughter had been in an accident as well. She got a little bit emotional talking about it, as she should. And so I guess the question is, we know there have been traffic studies by the Department of Transportation that have identified failing intersections. One of those failing intersections in my district, it's actually Bailey Road and State Highway 324. Tons of accidents, not a safe place to come through. And my concern is if we don't quickly maybe act and at least try to assert some pressure, some advocacy, that we might find ourselves just continuing to hear the same type of things from our citizens, and ultimately it's putting them in peril. So I don't know, I don't know the path, but a few ideas I had that I'll just mention to other council members, and ultimately hopefully we can kind of spur and take action is we have some other municipalities around us. Brazelton's one of them, Auburn's one of them, DeKalb's one of them. And, there may be an opportunity to form a bit of a regional group of sorts to talk about some of the issues we're having with traffic. I think we need, many of these are state highways. So we have 124 and 324. And I think we need to act in a bigger group to bring some concerns forward to the state of Georgia about the kinds of issues we're having with these roads. And to actually get citizen input and to talk about some of the issues that they're feeling. Because I don't think we have a decade to wait on these items. And then my fear is that we're gonna continue to kind of just go down the pathway here and have, kind of these singularly threaded conversations that don't really move the needle. I think we need to get together as a group and try to, in a diplomatic fashion, say, hey, here's the concern. It's a failing intersection, and the timeline doesn't need to be a decade. It needs to be something that's meaningful for the people that are having these concerns, and really it's putting, folks in peril. So that was what I wanted to discuss, or at least bring to everybody's attention and hopefully move forward.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and thank you for your leadership on that, Councilman Ingram, because I tend to agree with you on those items. I think the concern, like you said, is the fact that we have, as a city, so many state highways, right? And the purse strings are unfortunately controlled by the state of Georgia. And so I've been very blessed and got to meet with the commissioner of the Department of Transportation in Georgia. And as with a lot of government entities, right, there's a lot of bureaucracy that's involved. And I think the problem is that there seems to be a lot of, my eyes were very much opened as to how much hoops you have to jump through to make these things work. I'm not saying it can't happen, and I hope that we can, and maybe with your leadership, that's something we can do. But I will caution the public that this is not something that we unfortunately can snap our fingers and make a change, put a roundabout or fix the Hamilton Mill and 124 intersection, right? It's a lot of time, it's a lot of bureaucracy, it's a lot of appropriations, finding the money for the project. And so I second your concern, and I second and appreciate your advocacy on that. I just would hesitate and caution everyone to say, like, we'll do everything we can, but unfortunately these projects just have a long timeline, unfortunately.
No, I think you're right. Mr. Mayor. I mean, look, here's the reality is that this is a state, it has to happen at a state level. But I think that sometimes we see municipalities acting singularly instead of in aggregate. I think there's an opportunity to at least raise the conversation up a little bit. Sure. And see if we can act in a bigger group maybe to bring forward the concerns. And I think there's a ton, what I saw at the last meeting, just observing some of the folks, the recurring theme of traffic, certainly that's an issue. But I think we have a lot of very involved citizens in the city of Mulberry that would like to get involved, and I think we can kind of, maybe call upon them to help us advance this issue forward as well, to at least, see what we can do about it.
Sure. Any other discussion from the rest of the council?
No, I think that the core logics too will help with that effort as well. You can bring them hard data, not just, this is my opinion.
Yeah.
One of the things I want to bring up is related to that, right? So it's usually if you're inside a federal right of way, and GDOT makes the same thing for state highways, it's a 5 to 10 year process, right? From environmental, utility relocation. And so to first echo what the mayor was saying, right? This is something that we're going to start now, but this is not something that's going to change overnight, right? But to that point, to Doug's point, right, we are going through the process of becoming LAP certified, which is a requirement for us to manage our own transportation programs and not be reliant upon Gwinnett, since we are within the right of way for those projects. This also makes us eligible for some of those dollars to try to start the process of planning to do those projects. That's something that myself, my deputy manager have been working on doing. So, we will take this into great consideration, reach out to the other cities that are around us, and bring back some information for you all.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, anything else, Councilman Ingram?
No, that's
All right,
a good thing.
appreciate your leadership on that. All right, let's move on to action item MK, which is a consideration of a Sunday brunch resolution. I believe the city attorney is going to speak on that.
Very briefly, prior to the city being created, the county had an alcohol ordinance for on-site, on-premises consumption of alcohol at a retail, and they had passed a Sunday brunch resolution. When we took over the function, we did a continuation of that process, and then there was some question as to whether or not the original county resolution had included private clubs. While I believe that it did, and while the county continued to allow the private clubs to have an 11 o'clock opening time, here again, this is just one of those belt and suspenders, so there's no more questions. We're readopting our position that we started with in the city, and we're specifically in this time including the private clubs. So there's no question about whether the private clubs can go forward. So I'd ask you just go ahead and vote in the affirmative on this resolution to close all questions on that, and I'm sure that people will be happy about that on Sunday.
Mr. City Attorney, just to clarify, when you say private clubs, we're talking about like golf clubs, we're talking about the nightclubs.
That's correct.
Okay.
We have no nightclubs inside the city.
Yeah.
Be very clear about that.
Make sure we're clear on that.
Private clubs would be golf clubs.
Okay, perfect.
And so if you would, that clarification, I know would be much appreciated by the golf clubs within the city.
Perfect. All right, any questions for the city attorney? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion on this one.
Is the motion to reaffirm the Sunday brunch policy?
I just approved the resolution.
Yeah,
Just
if you want to
approve
take a
the
look at it,
resolution.
he's provided the resolution, proposed resolution.
I'd make a motion to approve resolution 2025-11-51.
Okay, we have a motion on the table to approve the resolution as presented. Do I have a second?
You got a second?
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Any discussion? I thought the golf man here would be all over that one. I thought he'd be screaming the second out or
The brunch is good.
Brunch
This is brunch.
All right, we got a motion, a second, no more discussion. We'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 4, the resolution is hereby adopted. All right, that brings us to action item L, which is the clerk as presented. All right, Mr. City Attorney, going to present these?
I sure will. We've, after losing our city clerk, who is also acting as municipal clerk, we would like to standardize who is going to continue to do that on an acting basis. We have put the names, I believe, into the list that we have gotten for you, and if you, I believe the appropriate thing to be, someone would nominate, the others would second, and you vote for approval, and then for each of those people in those positions, then we will have the mayor give the oath at the appropriate time.
I do want to add real quick that we have, started interviews. We have posted the job for the city clerk and deputy city clerk. As a procedural measure though, because we have, all hands on deck working on this. I think it's just great that we have, some names out there that can, for the record, be listed as signers for the clerk position until we permanently fill that. So city attorney has been great to advise us on that and put this before you.
Any other questions before I move on? I'll just, with the nomination.
The quick question I have is, so these are in an acting capacity
This
to
is a-
fulfill a need
This
right
is
now?
an interim to fulfill the need right now.
Got it.
This is just to make sure that legally we have somebody who has been appointed by you all to sign.
Got it. Thank you.
All right, no other questions, then I will go ahead and make the nomination for Dana Spade to be the Mulberry City Acting City Clerk. Do I have a second on that nomination?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Any discussion? I'll call the vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 4, Dana Spade is the Mulberry City Acting City Clerk. Next, I nominate Mackenzie Batista for the Mulberry City Acting Deputy Clerk. Do I have a second on Mackenzie Batista? Thank you, Councilman Shields. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All right, Mackenzie Batista is hereby nominated as the Mulberry Deputy Acting City Clerk. I hereby nominate Juliana Salmons, am I saying that right?
Salmon, yeah.
Salmon, as the Mulberry City Acting Municipal Court Clerk. Do I have a second to that nomination?
Second.
What name do you have?
It's Joy. That's Joy's legal name.
Yeah.
Okay.
First name.
Oh,
Yeah. T.
Okay, we have a nomination and we have Councilman Ingram with a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, call a vote. All in favor? All right, by a vote of 4, Ms. Salmons is the Municipal Court Clerk. And last but not least, our very own Ms. Kelly Cash, we nominate as the acting Deputy Municipal Court Clerk for the City of Mulberry. Do I have a second on that nomination?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 4, Ms. Kelly Cash is the acting Deputy Municipal Court Clerk for the City of Mulberry. All right, that brings us to our second reads under N on the next page of that, back page of that agenda, which is ordinance 2025-11-155. Who's gonna present this one?
I knew I was still up there for a reason. I should have turned the page over. All right, this is the second read. There is a difference in read than the last one. What we have added in here is we've added specific language that includes that the marshal is authorized to be the bailiff for the municipal court, and that would be an appointment process by the chief judge to appoint them as bailiffs so they can execute the lawful orders of the court. And secondly, that they were authorized to provide security to the city council as part of their job description also.
All right, any questions for the city attorney about ordinance 2025-11-155? All right, hearing none, then I will make a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-11-155, which grants powers to the city marshal's office. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Any discussion? I'm sorry, we had a public hearing on this? No? Okay, no discussion, then I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 4, ordinance 2025-11-155 dealing with the city marshal's office powers is hereby adopted. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to item O, which is our executive session. So what this is, if you've never come to a meeting before, the laws of the state of Georgia permit us to go back and have certain discussions in private. I believe we're going back to discuss purpose of discussing litigation, correct?
One litigation item there.
So we have one litigation item that we will go back into a private conference room to discuss. We will come back out here. If this is your first meeting, this is kind of a good time to head home. Don't really know how long we're gonna be. We will come back, if we have any items we need to take up from that executive session, we'll pass those and then we generally will just adjourn at that point. But we will kind of, before we go into executive session, if you want to talk briefly, to introduce yourself or say hello, we'd be happy to do that. But then before we go into executive session, so at this time, I will make a motion to go back into executive session for the purpose of discussing one litigation matter. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Ingram. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 4, we'll go into executive session. If you are leaving, thank you all for coming, and we will see you at our next meeting.
So you said we could talk after,
We can talk now.
Right now, real quick.
Yeah, we can talk right now. Yes, sir.
well, I don't know, they wanna hear, I just got to, how you doing, man?
Yeah, come on.
I would like the, of course,
All right, I'll make a motion to conclude the executive session. Do I have a second? Second. Okay, thank you, Councilman Ingram. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All right, all opposed by a vote of 4, executive session hereby ended. I don't believe we have any matters to take up, so I will make a motion to adjourn at this time. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Shields. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All right, we are hereby adjourned. Thank you.
I beat you that second.
You did. We're supposed to go in order, you guys did nothing to them.